Welcome to another unauthorized adventure. Today we're going to be going into the Lost Gardens of the St. Augustine Amphitheater. Now this place is pretty old, approximately 500 years old. In 1565, the Spanish explorer Pedro Menendez landed in this area and then settled, according to history, the first European settlement in the United States. And they used coquina dug from that little area you're seeing right there to build the infamous San Marco Castle and a lot of buildings downtown. About 200 years later, in 1773, the famed naturalist William Bartram visited this area and documented the flora and fauna. And ever since then, it became a garden. There's not too much history. It's really hard to find. But at some point into the 1900s, there was a huge garden, beautiful garden area with flowers and all kinds of exotic plants that was maintained by the locals. And years and years later, and I believe it's 1980s, according to some reports, it was shut down and kind of let nature take its course. And that's a lot of what you're seeing here. It's really hard to get around. A lot of people use this path for just hiking, exercise, and bring their animals out here and have a real good time. This isn't my first trip to the Lost Gardens, but my first time recording and trying to capture some of the highlights that you will see out here. It's a place that you probably have to go several times because there's so much in here that you could miss. There's lost monuments, walls, retention ponds, and all sorts of things that I think people are slowly rediscovering as they come and visit the park. An interesting detail about the Lost Gardens is actually it shares its space with the Anastasia State Park property and the amphitheater where they hold music events and farmers markets in St. Augustine. Now there aren't any markers that'll let you know if you're on the state park side or on the amphitheater side. There are also a few fences, but it's kind of hard to tell, especially because of the vegetation. This footage was captured around 9 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday. There wasn't too many more people out there. We pretty much had the whole gardens to ourselves. Here in this footage, we're approaching the first signs of the leftovers of the Lost Garden. This was possibly a water retention area or a pond. It's kind of hard to tell. There aren't really any maps or signs that will let you know what was out here before. If you are going to come out here, just keep your head on a swivel. There's things all over the jungle. You might miss it. I came through here 2 or 3 times, and every time I came back through the same area, I've noticed more features just beyond the tree line there. Once we reached this area, we found some steps leading to a pond full of crazy little turtles. Obviously, people have been feeding them because as soon as they saw us, they swam quickly over to where we were at. And at this point, I believe we're on the area closest to the amphitheater. As you can see, there's a sidewalk, and that leads straight to the back of the amphitheater, and we'll be reaching that in a few seconds. I didn't take too much footage of that. Here we discovered something that seemed to be a well or some type of mill. don't really know if this was for decoration or served a different purpose. Very interesting. It was really close to the road, to the parking lot of the amphitheater. We had a great time checking this thing out. Here, this little walkway led to the parking lot of the amphitheater. We then turned around and went back into the jungle, hoping to find more. This wooden walkway led to the rear entrance of the amphitheater, where there are bathrooms. At the time that we went there, they were locked. Here we are walking up perimeter of the fence. There are trails that lead everywhere. Sometimes they lead to nowhere. And as you can see, here is some of the local fauna. Here we find some more structures. I believe that this was the same one that we had located earlier. In fact, it's a different one, much smaller, with some steps leading up over a little hill that would take us to that turtle pond I was talking about earlier. This garden is a great place to visit. I will admit there was an ulterior motive to visit. I have been searching for a lost treasure that's rumored to be buried here at the garden, according to some people, depending on who you talk to. In 1982, a book was written called The Secret, a Treasure Hunt. Now, what happened was this author went around and traveled to 12 locations in the continental United States and possibly Canada and buried a dozen ceramic caskets. Inside these caskets, there was a key. Now, if you retrieve these keys, the man would in exchange give you a jewel. 1 jewel per box. Now, it's rumored that one of those boxes was buried here in St. Augustine. Some people say it's the Fountain of Youth. Some people say it was right here in the Lost Gardens. Based on my independent research, I believe that it's very possible this treasure was here, buried at the Lost Gardens. In a future episode, I intend to show you my theories and my explanation of why I believe the treasure is here in St. Augustine, not just in St. Augustine, but on Anastasia Island. See you soon, and I hope you enjoyed today's video.